round two. I've got the 2025 Toyota LandCruiser Prado 250 series in altitude variant level. This example's got some accessories fitted, some genuine accessories like a bull bar, integrated winch and LED light bar, as well as some chunky all-terrain tyres. Now I'm going to do a full review of this coming very soon, where I'll go for a bit of a tour, 4x4 tour, and I'll go over more of the features. But for this video, I just want to concentrate on this hill. This has become my new proving ground for testing the more serious off-road utes and SUVs that are out at the moment. Now, it probably doesn't look like it on camera, but it's very steep. I'll level the camera now, although the trees look like they're on a bit of an angle. But that's actually level there. And yeah, I'm struggling to sort of stand up. It's hard to walk up this. But also, it's got all these moguls and bumps and so on. They probably don't look that drastic on camera either. But they put a lot of pressure under the vehicle, or on the vehicle's suspension system, but also the traction management system and the tyres. So I feel like it's a nice little benchmark to test all the various utes and SUVs. As I've said before, this is not about the most extreme condition you can put the vehicles in. It's just a good benchmark sort of test. Now, for the original GX review that I did, there was a bit of criticism against the car, but also against the driver, me, which is fair enough. I'm open to criticism. I'm not a 4x4 expert. I'm more just like testing vehicles and testing the different modes and functions, because I feel like the majority of SUV buyers or ute buyers out there are not 4x4 experts either. So that's why I like to just start at the default mode, just leave it in H4 or whatever, and then see how it goes, then work my way up or through the different modes. Now with that GX, it really struggled just here because it unweighted two diagonal wheels and I didn't have it in the right mode until the end, and I did admit it wasn't in the right mode to try and climb this specific area. It did eventually get up as well, so it did just fine. You just got to have it in a specific mode. Whereas this one, the altitude, comes with a not just a center diff lock, but a rear diff lock, and it's also got those all-terrain tires, but it also comes with a multi-terrain select system, so you can go through different specific off-road modes. So what I'm going to do today is just try it out in the total default mode and see how that goes, and then work my way through the different modes and see how easily I can get up here with those accessories fitted and with the extra gear that the altitude comes with over the GX. Now it has been raining most of the morning actually, and I was hoping it was going to be saturated here, but there's actually no standing water at all. It's completely dry. But anyway, we can try it out, and then I guess it's a good comparison with that GX model. Just quickly though, it's got a nice bull bar on the front, a winch which is hidden under the number plate here. You've just got these little latches on the side, and the LED light bar as well. And then chunky, they're Toyo open country all-terrains. Where did I see the size? 265/70, and it's an 18-inch rim. Much more aggressive tread pattern compared with the GX. The GX did have all-terrain tires on it as well, but they were not not serious all-terrain tires, whereas this is proper chunky all-terrain tread with tread that goes around to the sidewall, so you can actually use the sidewall to help progress through any sticky situation. I love the way this bull bar is integrated into the design quite well. It is pretty close to the bodywork, and I actually like that, but I'm not sure about what, you know, proper outback people think about that sort of thing, because if you hit a kangaroo or something like that, it can bend the bumper bar and then that will touch the bodywork. Correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, that's what I think is why you have vehicles in the outback that have a bull bar that's really pushed out, whereas that's quite close to the body, but it does make it look more refined and elegant, and it just, yeah, ties in well with the original Prado design, or the design of this generation Prado. And then inside we've got these different modes. So rear diff lock, center diff lock, it does have the stabilizer bar disconnect system as well, and then the multi-terrain select system there. It does have the crawl control as well, which the GX had as well. All right, starting with absolute default mode. I've got the vehicle turned off on purpose so I can just show you that it is in the total default mode. Stability control is all left on, everything's on. I've just got it in H4, which is the standard default mode as well. By the way, it's saying add blue level low, fill up in 1800 kilometers. So I will put some in later on, but that's what that warning message is for. let's see how we go. So I'm going to go straight up here, over to the left, and then about straight up through the middle there, basically. The same line that I took in the GX. Again, this is with everything left on. So far, so good. Just here is where it struggled a bit. Yep. So that's with stability control and everything on, and it's not able to grab the wheel to provide the extra traction. So now I will put it in low range, and I won't touch the stability control or anything like that. It goes into its own mode. Still got, it says traction control off, but it is kind of still on in a kind of yeah, off-road setting. So now let's try grabbing the wheels more and getting us up, no problem at all. So if I did that in the GX, it probably would have went up as well. I think that was the sort of problem with the GX, the way that I filmed it, and I admitted at the end it wasn't in the right mode, and I did try with stability control off first. So now what I'll do is go down to the bottom, I'll turn the stability control completely off and then see what happens, and then I'll engage the diff locks and see what happens, and yeah, just to compare. But as you saw then, all I did was put it into low range and it went up just fine. I think these all-terrain tires, well, I don't think, they would provide extra grip, and it seemed to get up a little bit easier, as in the brakes didn't have to, you know, they weren't applied as much as in the GX with the sort of more road-oriented tires. I also didn't mention the sort of flexing of the new Prado. I think it's got really good suspension range. Like, tipping it into this section, I remember going down here in the D-Max and the back wheel came right off the ground, whereas this, it's only just off the ground, that back left tire. So I had a look at the footage, or as I was editing the GX review, you can see in the footage that, yeah, there's a lot of flex happening, there's a lot of articulation happening. Obviously, wheels or tires on the ground are better than in the air because they're providing some sort of directional stability or grip or whatever you're doing. This example is priced from around $92,000, so it is pretty expensive. The Ford Everest Tremor, which I'll try and do a comparison with that coming up soon, is about 20 grand cheaper, or $15,000 cheaper. And it kind of does the same thing, but I'll talk more about that in a separate video and yeah, do a proper comparison. Back at the bottom now, and I've got the stability control completely turned off. So this will allow the wheels to spin freely. And I suspect that it will have trouble getting up. Okay, now we'll try back in low range. I've just left the stability control on, or whatever the default mode as soon as you push it into low range, and then I'll try the multi-terrain select system. So I've got rock, mud, oops, sand and rock. Yes, I'll try the rock mode. So straight away it's already flashing there. I just saw. You can hear the relay or whatever it is down under you or near your feet clicking away. Yeah, definitely less wheel spin in that mode. It's just going up quite smoothly, not waiting for it to spin, rather than sort of being a bit more proactive and catching the slip before it begins almost. Back at the bottom, now we'll try the mud mode and see how that does. Still in low range, and still I haven't touched the stability control or traction control button. I'm just letting the mode sort it out. Definitely a bit more wheel spin, it's a bit more power. Okay, so that's definitely spinning a bit more, and I've got to apply more throttle for the brakes, you know, to start engaging, whereas in the rock mode it was definitely more proactive. That's more, or it seems to be more reactive. And yeah, in different, as a 4x4 expert will probably tell you, different terrains require different methods. You know, like I know that in sand you kind of need to keep the wheels spinning, so you want to be going a little bit quicker and all that sort of thing. Obviously in slow rock crawling you want to be going quite slow, so there's all these different methods and so on. But that's definitely changing the attitude and capability of the vehicles. In that sand mode it wasn't, in the mud mode it definitely, well, not struggled, but it assumed that I was in mud, so it was probably allowing more wheel spin to happen. Now we'll just try the last mode, which was sand mode. I've got a feeling it's going to let some more, or even more wheel spin happen, because it's going to assume that we're on sand. Okay, here we go. Same speed, same line. Yep, spinning. Bit more power. Definitely more spinning, but it got up there in the end. So that required even more throttle again. And that, yeah, kind of makes sense to what I was just saying. On the sand, you generally need the wheels to be spinning faster than if you're on rock crawling or this sort of terrain. So that did allow a lot more wheel spin. For this example, the rock mode was the best to get up here. Just while we're going back down the hill, I've engaged the crawl mode, and that'll give us hill descent control. So feet off the pedals and let it sort it out. Just get back onto the line. Yeah, very stable. So when I went down with the GX, I just was in low range and just kind of let it go down itself, using the brakes a little bit. But if you want to go down with absolute safety and security, which you should, then engage the crawl mode, because that will provide you with constant brake control and all that to optimize stability. Okay, now let's try out the maximum capability. So I've got the center diff locked, the rear diff locked, I've got the stabilizer bar disconnect function, and I'm just in low range. I haven't touched the stability control, it's just done whatever it does when you engage those modes. I think this will get up probably the easiest. Okay, still should get a little bit of wheel spin happening, but not as much, no way as much. Yeah, that just went up very, very smoothly. So there you go. If you are going to encounter some conditions like this, then yeah, definitely use all of those modes and you'll get up as safe and securely as you can. As I said though, I'm not a 4x4 expert. I'm not aiming to be the 4x4 champion of the world. I want to test the vehicle and I want to test the different settings to see what sort of differences they have. It's like if I go to a track day or test a car on a track, I'm going to test it in the default mode and then explore the different modes and turn the stability off and eventually have some fun. But it's good to know the range or the spectrum of capabilities. So we'll try this right hand side now. In this setting that I've got with both diff locks locked, and just see how easy it can get up. Nice and steady. Just drop down into the little hole there, little ditch. And feel it clawing away. But yeah, no problem at all. Very impressive. There we go, the Prado has no problem getting up when you're in the right modes, but I do think the altitude with the rear diff lock is you know, a better performer, as you'd expect. The GX that doesn't have the rear diff lock, when you're going up things like this where you've got that diagonal force happening, the center diff lock helps stop wheel spin, but if you've got two opposing wheels, front and rear, in the air or unweighted, then they just spin at the same time with the center diff locked. Where as soon as you have a rear diff lock, you can equalize the rear wheels. Even if one is under heaps of pressure or compressed, then that's not going to free spin, so that will provide you with the grip to get up. I think if this was wet, the altitude with these tires as well would really outperform the standard GX, again, as you'd expect. But yeah, going forward, I'll use this little hill for as long as it kind of stays open. As I said before, there's lots of rubbish and stuff that people dump, which is disgusting, and it just, yeah, it ruins it for everyone. So as long as this stays open, I'll continue to use this to test the different serious off-road utes and SUVs. And don't forget, there'll be a full review of this soon, and we'll try out some more challenging conditions.